It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Matthew Moreno, here to break down some news, some interesting quotes from some interviews that Dodgers guys have been doing. We got a Tommy Edman injury update, a Tyler Glasnow pseudo rumor, lots to get into. But Matt, let's start here. How was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
It was good. I mean, are we going to get into that now? Like, do we want to start everybody with some Thanksgiving food discourse, or do we wait until the end? I can give a quick maybe teaser. It was a traditional Thanksgiving for me.
Yeah, exactly. Traditional for Matt, which, if you don't know, is not traditional for the rest of us. We will get into some Thanksgiving. I would say I probably had one of the better Thanksgiving meals I've ever had. Non-traditional for me.
I have some questions. I have some. Well, actually, so my traditional for everybody's sense can be applied to me for this year. So it was different. I do have some questions about your meal, and I know we'll get into that later tonight.
We'll get into it. Lots to get to. As always, we appreciate folks joining us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, those listening after the fact via Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. We appreciate you. I see some people in the chat talking about the Laker game. That's where our guy Anthony is. He's helping out Trevor over on the Lakers Nation side of things. So Matt filling in on the Sunday night shift here on DodgerHeads. But it's good for me to be back. I was gone this past week visiting family, made the long trip down to Reno where my parents live and back. So happy to be back in my own bed last night. Happy to be back on this show. We got some Kershaw quotes, some Ohtani dialogue, some Tommy Edman quotes, some Blake Snell stuff to get into. Let's start with Clayton Kershaw. I thought this was interesting, Matt. He went on Rob Lowe's podcast talking about, I would describe the Dodgers' secret sauce. And he said there were kind of two words that jumped out to me when I read the quotes, Matt, about what makes the Dodgers different, what makes them winners in his estimation. And he talked about professionalism. And the second thing he talked about was a commitment to winning above all else. This was the quote: when everything else supersedes wanting to win, that's where you have a problem. It's amazing how much Shohei wants to win every single day. I think that's one of Freddie's best qualities. He goes on to say, you've got to give Doc a lot of credit. Doc instilled that in us. It doesn't matter what we did yesterday. We just need to win the game today. Interesting to hear this, obviously, from Kershaw, who's been in this clubhouse, but has been in this clubhouse through numerous managers, through ups and downs of actually having success. What did you think about how he defined maybe the central ingredient to LA's success?
It made sense. I know that that's something, when we've had shows throughout a season and it's, April 11th and the Dodgers have maybe lost a game, fans are frustrated saying, it looks like they don't care already, or, they're not taking it serious enough and they need a fiery leader to go out there and, break a bat over his knee, maybe get in somebody's face type thing. And I do think that there are points where, maybe having some sort of that fiery kind of personality can be helpful. Like I brought, especially this past season, I did think that, maybe like the Dodgers were like, we thought they hit rock bottom, 3 or 4 times maybe. And it sort of just kept going until they really turned things around. But Kershaw's comment, like it is what we have discussed on these shows of, hey, like the Dodgers they aren't that team. For better or worse, the majority of the time for better, like they approach it even keeled. Like as Kershaw said in his quote in his interview with Rob Lowe, yesterday is yesterday. There's no changing that. Like all you can control now is today. And I think that does prove helpful and beneficial when then you get into scenarios like they were in the World Series this year, where you're down 3-2, you're going back to Toronto, you need to win 2 games on the road. But before you can do that, you need to win 1. And that's what the Dodgers do every single day throughout the regular season. Dave Roberts when we're around as media, when I've been there, whether it's at home or following them on the road, it is like, hey, let's get the win today and then, figure out the rest tomorrow. So it was interesting to hear it from basically like kind of not validation, but sort of confirming like what was long apparent to, I think, a lot of us, especially again on this show.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I hear that word professionalism, I feel like that's actually a word that gets people mad at the Dodgers, just how quote unquote professional they are. Because when I hear Kershaw say that, he talked kind of about being able to see the bigger picture and being able to zoom out of things and not live and die with every second and not get super emotional high or super emotional low. It felt like, and yet, Matt, it feels like to me, the very thing that Clayton Kershaw is saying might be the secret sauce to the dynasty that we're seeing play out in front of us seems to be the thing that makes a lot of fans mad in the middle of July when they're losing baseball games.
Yeah, I agree. I think both things can be true, right? Like that is the approach the Dodgers have. At least 80 to 85% of the time, it is the right approach and mindset to have. And the other side of the coin, all that being said, as you mentioned it, we get to the middle of July, middle of August, even middle of September, as we did, this year. And it is upsetting fans because the Dodgers are sticking to their even-keeled approach of, hey, like, I'll use obviously the game I think that sticks out is Yamamoto's near no hitter, right? He loses it with 2 outs, and then the Dodgers lose that game, and it's just like, wait, like, and Dave Roberts, I remember his quotes after that game, and even the next morning, like, were inflammatory in the sense that he wasn't, doom and gloom, like the sky has fallen on us, our season is over. And I do think that there is a little bit of threading the needle, and maybe if Kershaw had expanded on it perhaps in that interview with Rob Lowe, maybe he would have gotten to it. Like there does, especially this year, like you get to September, and Dave Roberts has said, and players did come out and say after the fact that there was a conversation after that game against the Orioles of, hey, like that was terrible, but there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just focus on playing our best baseball moving forward. And again, like I think that is beneficial more, like overwhelmingly more times than not. That being said, I can understand, the narrative and perception it can create, kind of, the laissez-faire sort of attitude type thing, and why fans can get upset and take umbrage with that.
And yet it's why the Dodgers from that moment forward were able to go 28-9 the rest of the season and into the postseason and go win it, right? Because a more emotional team that maybe rides the highs and feels the lows, like I would say many of us fans do, I don't think is going to be able to rebound from the type of gut punch that game was. And yet I think that's what Kershaw is saying. It's the desire to win. It's a bunch of guys who aren't primarily interested in personal success. They aren't primarily interested in accolades. They aren't primarily interested in making a bunch of money. Those things he even said, those aren't bad things to want or to desire. And of course, guys have some interest in those things, but he singles out guys like Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and says, as great as they are, as rich as they are, as personally successful as they are, what those guys want more than anything else is to go out and win. And I think you make a great point. It's what allowed this team to go down 3-2, fly all the way to Toronto, and come out and be victorious. I actually think if we distilled down what allows a team to do what the Dodgers did in Game 6 and 7 of the World Series, it's exactly what Clayton Kershaw is touching on. It's a commitment to win above everything else, and it is a professionalism to say, hey, guys, we can win 2 games in a row here. Like, we've beaten this team before. We are the Dodgers. This is not an impossible, insurmountable task. And even in little things, even when their backs are against the wall and there's a runner on third with 1 out, and that's the game-winning run, a walk-off run, for them to be able to be professional, for Miguel Rojas to be able to collect his feet, for Andy Pages to chase down the ball in left field, for Will Smith to hit a home run. I think all of that comes back to, I just love the word professionalism that Kershaw talks about, because I think it is so central to what we saw play out in front of us over the last 45 to 60 days of the 2025 season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, make no mistake about it too. We can't overlook the Dodgers having the talent that they have is a factor as well.
100%.
And the experience that these players have gained, whether it's Freddie Freeman while he was with the Braves and now with the Dodgers, Mookie Betts winning a World Series with the Red Sox and now being with the Dodgers for, multiple World Series. Like that also is a factor too, right? And I think that in turn helps fuel kind of make sure these players are able to keep their emotions kind of under control and not, oh my gosh, down 3-2 going back to Toronto. Like what is this? What's going to happen here? Type thing. We've never been in this position. Like that is certainly beneficial as well. And so I think it's sort of a, like for lack of a better term, like kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing where you have the talent, you have these experience on an individual basis. And then, I'm seeing comments. I think Jonathan was one of them. Then you have, and I know Kershaw alluded to it as well. You have Dave Roberts, who has gotten everybody to really buy in. And again, and you have constantly brought this up, like Dave Roberts, he's not perfect.
Nope.
Nobody is. And when he makes decisions that, don't necessarily make sense, we will get on here and say, hey, like that didn't make sense. Why, this is what maybe he could have done, should have done, if you want to, phrase it that way. Ultimately, he has gotten a collection of superstars, Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers to buy in and pull in one single direction. And it's under this umbrella of the professionalism, the even-keeled approach. And that's why, the Dodgers are where they are.
Yeah. And I love what you said about kind of the talent they have, because I think a lot of times it gets framed as, oh, the Dodgers simply win because they have the best players. And on one hand, it's absolutely true. The Dodgers have the most talented roster in the World Series. They had the more talented roster in every round of the postseason. They had the more talented roster. Even with the bullpen, they couldn't get any outs. And yet, when you look at the math of how often the best team wins in postseason in Major League Baseball, it's the biggest number, but it's not a greater than 50% chance, right? Like I think they say that the best team in Major League Baseball typically has between a 30 and 40% chance of winning the World Series. That means there is a greater likelihood, even once you've made the playoffs, of losing than winning. And so the question of how do the Dodgers get to a place, yes, they have the most talent, but how do they get to a place of winning not once, but now twice and 3 times in the last 6 years? And I think that's what Kershaw is getting at. Of course, it's the talent. He's not saying professionalism trumps talent, but what he's saying is talent doesn't get you all the way there on its own. Again, right. Look at the Mets, look at the Braves, look at the Padres, look at some of these teams that have amassed on paper really good teams. And what separates the Dodgers is exactly what Kershaw says. It's professionalism, and it's a desire to win above all else. And I can't help, Matt, when I hear that last piece, Kershaw doesn't seem like a petty guy. Otherwise, I would think that would be a direct shot across the bow of the team that resides south of Los Angeles, not the Angels, but the San Diego Padres, when he talks about a desire to win above all else. Because I'm just speculating here, but I don't think the reputation of Manny Machado, I don't think the reputation of Fernando Tatis is necessarily guys that want to win above all else, above personal accolades, above money, above comfort, all those things, recognition, reputation. I don't think winning is at the top of the priority list. And so again, I just hear that and I think, man, to have Kershaw and Ohtani and Freeman and Yamamoto and all these guys, and for their number one goal, not to be Cy Youngs or MVPs or All-Stars or hundreds of $1 million of contract, although they all have that already, to be winning is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I agree. And not to toot our horn, but I think like that's an approach that we try to take here at Dodger Blue and Lakers Nation and just, our medium large sports media outlet and network as a whole, right? Like we want to all kind of do as best as we can collectively. And then with that comes the individual recognition and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, to your point, it's yes, Kershaw's certainly I agree. Like,
Kershaw's the last guy who would be making a shot at the Padres,
definitely.
Although it's hard not to have it as Dodgers fans in the back of my head.
I will say, I would say like he's said some things here and there, but he just says it. Like he's not going to do it like underhand, not backhanded.
Passive aggressively.
Yeah, right. Like he would just say, like I think he would just come out and say it. But yeah, it could be. He certainly what he described is San Diego. What he described, there was I think John Heyman or maybe Joel Sherman. I apologize, I'm forgetting who reported it, but there was a report that came out I think this past weekend or over the last few days of some issues with the Mets and Francisco Lindor and one. So like it's that like there's a lot of talent. The Mets went into this past season with a ton of talent and projected to win the NL East and compete with the Dodgers. And that season they couldn't beat the Marlins to get into the playoffs. And now it's looking like there's some clubhouse discontent, and that's been the case in San Diego multiple times over the past several years. And so yeah, but ultimately like it was interesting to, like I said, not get the validation, but sort of the public confirmation from somebody like Clayton Kershaw of, yeah, like this is, our clubhouse approach. And the question specifically, if people didn't miss it if people missed it with his appearance on the Rob Lowe podcast, was basically like how, his perspective, his stance, his Kershaw stance and opinion on the Dodgers not having that quote unquote, like kind of jerk personality, one player type thing to, like I said earlier, to kind of go maybe and get in somebody's face, which I mean, look, Kirby Yates did that with that whole dust up, and Justin Robleski too. I mean, if there are guys, I think it's just not their first reaction and instinct to do that because it's not productive. But if you challenge the Dodgers, you are going to get a response. And Clayton Kershaw himself, how many times have we seen something happens? He's one of the first players out of the dugout ready to, get involved to some degree.
Love it. Love it. Jonathan with a super chat here says, hope everyone enjoyed all the traditional Moreno Thanksgiving classics, fettuccine Alfredo, wedge salad, Snickers, cheesecake. I did have a wedge salad this past week, by the way, not on Thanksgiving to be clear, but it's great. Question, could LA solve the outfield with a prospect like Spencer Jones? Spencer Jones, a prospect in the Yankees system. My answer to this, Jonathan, would be, I don't think this is the route that you go. I think if you're the Dodgers, option one would be finding a guy who can be a 3 to 4 year solution, whether that's an older player like a Byron Buxton or a younger player like a Jarren Duran, Steven Kwan type. I think plan B, in my estimation, rather than go the prospect route, would actually be just go get yourself like a 1 or 2 year stopgap. I've mentioned Cedric Mullins, who's like the least sexy, appealing name ever, but I think could like do a job out there. Basically, if you believe in 2025, maybe it's a Harrison Bader type. But to me, like, I would just rather wait for these the Dodgers' top 4 prospects right now are all outfielders. So I would rather just say, all right, let's give these guys 18 months, and halfway through the 2027 season, we'll see what we have with these guys. That would be my approach, Matt, rather than, oh, let's go get a guy who hasn't proven anything at the major league level, but is more major league ready than Sirota, Hope, DePaula, and Quintero.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and we did the outfield exercise a couple weeks ago now at this point. Unfortunately, there's not there's the Kyle Tucker's out there, but the sort of general consensus is good at a lot of things, not great type thing.
Well, and I'll just say real quick, based on the conversation we just had about winning above all else and professionalism, let's just say the smoke around Kyle Tucker is he might not fit into that clubhouse culture.
Yeah, great point. I agree with you. Short of an unexpected kind of established regular / star player becoming available via trade, I think you do just, find the stopgap and let one of the prospects sort of separate himself. And like, as you mentioned, that timeline in a year and a half, year plus type thing, and then go that route rather than searching out a prospect with another organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's shift gears. Let's talk Shohei Ohtani. Some quotes from Brandon Gomes. I know we've touched on this a little bit on our show, but it drifts into some World Baseball Classic topic. Brandon Gomes saying, I think this is a conversation we'll have as it gets deeper into the offseason, but it will probably look like a more normal schedule than last year. Obviously, that can be fluid for Shohei Ohtani. He also said they're considering keeping a 6-man starting rotation. I love that. Like, they're still not willing to just admit out loud that it's 6-man rotation. I've said on this show, and I know it's not a popular take, Matt, like the plan in 2025 worked. We're going to talk Blake Snell in a little bit. We're going to talk about how he pitched the least amount of innings in any full season of his career, how he basically made the same number of starts in 2025 as he did in 2020, the 60-game season, COVID. Ohtani, similarly, very few starts, very few innings. It worked. Those guys were healthy come postseason time. Glasnow was healthy, and they won the World Series. So, to me, like this normal pitching schedule, I don't know if I like it, Matt.
That's fair. I think with we need to remember with the Dodgers front office, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes primarily, Stan Kasten a little bit, a lot of things that they say is open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So I took this more as Shohei Ohtani's not going to be making 2-inning starts, 3-inning starts type thing. He's going to be, ready to go kind of 5 innings. Obviously, we're going to get into the World Baseball Classic and that sort of wrinkle. My guess is they will find a point in the season to, hey, we're taking him out of the rotation for 2 turns type thing to get him some breaks. And I don't want it. We've seen it in the past where a pitcher will have arm fatigue or some inflammation, and they put him on the IL. Obviously,
whole body tightness. Wasn't that
Yeah,
Tyler Glasnow had like whole body soreness or something at one point
yeah,
this year?
something like that. Obviously, it's a little bit different with Ohtani because if you put him on the IL, then you don't have your DH, so they're not going to go that route. But I still, as much as Brandon Gomes said, it's more of a normal pitching schedule. I interpreted that as there's not going to be the 1 inning starts, the 2 inning starts until he builds up to a full workload. I think it'll be he comes in at the start of 2026, closer to making full starts every time, but they're still definitely going to find a way to, like I said, take him out of the rotation, maybe 2 weeks at a time here and there.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Snell, Glasnow, and Ohtani in particular, I don't want any of those guys making more than like 25 starts next season. Even 25 seems like a big number. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's like these guys, the goal 2024, 2025, we literally just showed everybody the blueprint. The blueprint is limp your way across the finish line, but be healthy by the time you get there. That's how they won the World Series. Now, you could make the case in 2024, it was pretty much the exact opposite approach. Tyler Glasnow was not available. Yamamoto was available. Flaherty was available, but like they had no starting pitching and the bullpen carried them. I just think like the goal is to win the World Series. We always say that. We talk people off the ledge with that, Matt. And to me, it's just a matter of if that really is the goal, then Ohtani should not be a fully stretched out starter pitching the first week of the season. Snell, Glasnow, none of these guys. Unless your plan is, hey, we're going to pick and choose 2-month breaks for each of these guys over the course of the 5 or 6 months after. And I know this is crazy, and I know it's not popular, and I know fans who go to the ballpark don't want to see it. But as somebody who wants the Dodgers to win the World Series, I just don't think him trying to make 30 starts or something like that is a good idea.
Yeah, that's fair. And obviously what'll be interesting is how much Shohei Ohtani wants to do, because frankly, like that's going to be the driver in all of this. If Ohtani says, I'm feeling good in the middle of July, I can keep going, I don't necessarily see the Dodgers like really fighting it. I think maybe at some point they could sell him on, hey, let's at least skip you in this one turn, or coming out of the All-Star break, let's push your start back so you get 8 days of rest instead of 6 or 7 type thing, or 8 or 9 days of rest. Like I think they'll do that. Your load management plan, look, like it makes sense because they won in part because they won the World Series, and they were very close, like in Game 6 and Game 7, a play here, a play there from not necessarily winning. And then at that point, it's like, well, all the load management, like, sure, like it got them.
But they cruised to that point. They cruised to the World Series.
You and I both know that wouldn't be like the narrative became the load management worked because they won the World Series. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, it's a different discussion, I think.
See, I think the fact that those guys were healthy come postseason time, whatever happened after that, the plan worked. Because the goal is to get them healthy to the postseason. It's to be able to throw Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Ohtani games 1 through 4. And I'm saying, I mean this truthfully, that would have been enough for me. Like just getting them healthy, that was the goal, fair. And I think that was achieved.
That's fair, and that's I agree with you, but I guess I'm speaking like in terms of like I think that would be a minority opinion. I don't think
possible.
I don't think people
more
would take
people
much,
need to get on board. Then
I don't think people would take much solace in that. And look, like there is unfortunately like there is no guarantee. Like if they choose to shut down these guys from pitching for a month for 6 weeks, like unfortunately like there's no guarantee. I get that it doesn't mean you play the odds, right? And that's basically what you're doing, and it is what the Dodgers I think do, and that's why they approach things the way that they do, where, hey, like if something is kind of going on with the pitcher, let's just be cautious now. Let's take 2 or 3 weeks instead of trying to have him push through it for a start. And, we're discussing right now, Ohtani specifically, again, like I still believe that what he sort of prefers is going to be kind of the ultimate drive, because it was his decision it was him going to the Dodgers this year saying, like, I think I should just I should just do a rehab assignment at the major league level instead of keep doing these simulated games. And it was, okay, well, let's check with doctors, kind of, I'm sure they discussed the risk and things of that nature. And then they ultimately decided that Shohei Ohtani's plan was the right plan.
Yeah. And speaking of what Ohtani wants, let's shift gears real quick into the World Baseball Classic. He, of course, has announced that he will be representing Japan. The Dodgers cannot block his participation in this. The same goes for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I believe there's some language around Roki Sasaki because of how much time he spent on the 60-day injured list that they could theoretically block participation. What they can do is they can request that these guys not be pitched in certain ways or follow strict usage, or in Ohtani's case, maybe not pitch at all. Dave Roberts had this to say, quote, "We'll support them." This was to Japanese media, but I do think that the pitching, it's a lot on the body, the arm. The rest will be beneficial for next year for our season, but we understand how important the WBC is for these individual players and the country of Japan. What do you make about, we haven't officially heard from Yamamoto and Sasaki about involvement in the WBC, have we?
No, we have not. So, I mean, I think Yamamoto is basically a lock, would be my guess. Sasaki, I do think there's more uncertainty there. It wouldn't shock me if he also participates or, is available and just doesn't pitch all that much. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting scenario for the Dodgers. The WBC, as much as it means to these countries, these players and respective countries, I get it. The Dodgers get it. Like they've expressed that. I think also if the Dodgers had their druthers, like nobody would be participating, especially when it comes to Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And as Daniel would say, no disrespect to Roki Sasaki, but those first two are a little bit more important to the team right now than Sasaki. And, he could certainly get there. And he did, I guess, in the playoffs. So
yeah,
maybe to walk back that stance. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I don't imagine. I wonder if maybe if you I don't have the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. The Dodgers and Ohtani will compromise on WBC participation, not necessarily pitching, maybe that much type thing.
Yeah.
Yamamoto's the interesting one. I mean, we saw what he did to end the season, and so like
he can't hit. So if he's involved, it will only
right.
be as the pitcher, right?
Right. Maybe they put some sort of cap on him, like, no more than 70 to 80 pitches per outing type thing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes.
As a Dodgers fan, and primarily a Dodgers fan, I'm saying this. It's not good for the Dodgers that any of these guys are participating in the World Baseball Classic. And it's not just the Japanese guys. Like, if you are a Dodgers fan and all you were to care about is the Dodgers, and you don't care about these people as human beings, you don't care about any of this stuff, the entertainment value, the World Baseball Classic, etc., none of it is good for the Dodgers. I mean, Roki Sasaki, maybe. Sasaki getting reps, being in that environment, that might be good. But, like, if the Dodgers had their way, Ohtani wouldn't participate. Yamamoto wouldn't participate. None of these guys would participate in any capacity. Nothing good can come of this for the veteran guys. They don't need development. They don't need reps. It is simply a risk of injury. It is simply a taxing of the arm for every single pitcher. And so that's what stinks for the Dodgers in this regard. And again, they can't tell Ohtani, you're not allowed to play. They probably wouldn't anyways, right? They know this is part of the deal. You sign Ohtani, you sign Yamamoto, you have the best players. You have to take these sort of risks. But I just want to say out loud that piece. This is bad for the Dodgers that they're involved. My hope is that exactly what you said comes about, which is the Dodgers are able to have a conversation with Ohtani, Yamamoto, Team Japan, and say, hey, here's the deal. These guys just pitched all the way until, what was it, November 2nd, technically, when the World Series ended, right? November 1st and into the morning of November 2nd. And they were like 100-something days away from pitchers and catchers then reporting to opening day. And allegedly, we're going to try and have these guys available for opening day, which I just told you my deal. Like, put these guys on ice until May, as far as I'm concerned. But I hope there's at least some sort of like, yo, we're not going crazy with these guys, right? Like, I know you want to win, but it can't come at the risk of these players and their availability. The question is, as we've hinted at, Ohtani really wants this. Yamamoto really wants this. They talk about the World Baseball Classic to them, to Japan, is bigger than the World Series. Now, I don't know if Ohtani and Yamamoto would say that personally as guys who are competing for both, but in Japan, this is like the biggest deal. This is the Super Bowl. This is the number one thing they could go at. And so I am so curious to see how they are able to balance the thing that is most important to them and their country and honor and all of that with what logically makes the most sense for their employer that is paying them loads and loads of money over the next, in Ohtani's case, like 50 years.
Yeah. And, obviously we're focusing on this year leading into 2026, but really you could go back to 2024. Like, it's been a long 2 years for the Dodgers, starting in South Korea, playing through the World Series, starting in Tokyo, playing through the World Series, now WBC games. Like, I mean, honestly, like,
And Yamamoto's been there the entire time.
yeah. And if the WBC wasn't coming up next year, I wouldn't be shocked if the Dodgers didn't have the likes of Ohtani, Freeman, Yamamoto, mainly those guys, maybe perhaps a few, like really not playing in spring training games until like after the first week or something, like middle of the month, like middle of their schedule. Like it wouldn't shock me if that's the approach that they would have taken. So yeah, I mean it's kind of it's a double-edged sword. Dodgers don't want to be a team. You can't be that team that tells these players no. I mean you know,
they're literally not allowed to tell guys they can't participate.
Right.
So, but I think you know underneath it all, they're definitely thinking, my goodness, we hope this isn't what happens. I love this from Cole with the super chat. Don't mess with the cash cow that is Japan. That's part of it, right? Some people are saying, hey, it's a branding thing. Hey, these guys in Japan. I'll just say this. I think Ohtani and Yamamoto are plenty big in Japan. I don't think a World Baseball Classic is going to move the needle all that much for these two guys. Based on a friend who was just in Japan, Ohtani is literally everywhere. Like I don't know if there was more billboard space for him to take up in Japan, regardless of how the WBC goes.
But I think, and Matt's hitting on this. He's saying it's a pride thing. I think for those guys though, like it's also like they want to do it, right? Like and again, like the WBC has not taken off in the United States the way it has in other countries, so we can understand it as best as we can. It's a completely, like other players have come out and said, this is, arguably more important or bigger accomplishment than getting to the World Series and playing in a World Series. So there is that component too, right? It's not just, oh, hey, this tournament's coming up and do you guys want to do it? Sure. Well, we've decided to enter our name into the hat to be on the roster. Like it is, as Matty mentioned, it's a pride thing and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to figure out who. Like I saw, was it Garrett Whitlock was announced as a confirmed player for the United States. So it looks like commitments so far: Skeens, Cal Raleigh, Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Aaron Judge as well. So, and then Garrett Whitlock. I don't know if there's more players that have been announced.
No, that's about right. Yeah, that's pretty much the list for Team USA so far.
Yeah. So there you go. And again, I understand. I want to make clear. I understand why Ohtani is doing it. I understand why Yamamoto is doing it. Sasaki, if he were to get asked why he would do it. I'm just saying from the Dodgers perspective, let's just say the obvious thing out loud, which is there isn't a whole lot of good that comes of this. And again, that's what Dave Roberts has said. Hey, we're going to support these guys, but hopefully they don't go crazy. Because to your point, it's been a long, 21 months basically from Korea in 2024 to November 1st, November 2nd in Toronto in 2025. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk Tommy Edman. Little bit of an injury update. He hung out with our friends over at ESPN LA. Ended up getting surgery on the ankle. Clarified a few things about that in that interview, Matt. The first was that the surgery is actually to deal with something he's been battling for the last couple of years. So this wasn't a new injury in 2025, but it's actually something that was kind of a little bit overdue. He's dealt with it. Everything has gone smoothly. He said, that's the good news. You sent me the quote. I thought maybe the more interesting piece was he was asked, is the plan to then get back to playing center field? Because we talked about on our show, man, he's getting up there. He's super injury prone. Like, is center field really a thing that they can count on Tommy Edman for in 2026, 2027, beyond? And this was the quote that Edman had. I'd like to get your thoughts. Quote, hopefully I'll be in a spot where I can play both infield and outfield. That's kind of the goal, just to get back to a spot where I'm fully 100% and can do everything, even stealing bases. I haven't stolen any bases the last 2 years because my ankle would flare up anytime I tried to do that. So that's the goal, to get back to 100% of what I typically am as a baseball player. And that would mean playing center field, second base, and wherever else I am needed. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, first, the stolen base thing was interesting because I hadn't necessarily thought of that or picked up on it, frankly. Makes sense. The running at top speed was what was causing trouble for him. And that's why, whenever it was asked, like, hey, is Edman going to play center field this year? Can he get back to it? That was kind of the hurdle that he needed to clear. Not surprised that he did, need off-season surgery. As he mentioned, this is something he's been dealing with since before he was traded to the Dodgers. Ironically, Edman first sprained his ankle while he was on rehab assignment for wrist surgery that he had 2 off seasons ago now. Hopeful, he's certainly, there's reason for optimism, obviously, and it's understandable. I'm in the camp of I need to sort of, and it's not Edman specific, but this has lingered for so long, and every time it seemed like he was, not every time, but mainly, once they really took that long extended period late this year to give him the time off to, quote unquote, fully recover. You thought that, okay, that would be, everything he kind of needed, but it still seemed to be kind of lingering to a certain extent. He did end up playing center field late in the season and a couple times in the playoffs. So that was, but I mean, some of that was just matter of circumstance and necessity because of, game 3 going 18 innings. And now they needed to move some pieces around during the postseason. But yeah, I mean, it's important that Edman definitely gets back healthy, and his versatility for this team is significant, especially. We were discussing, left field earlier. We got that super chat from Jonathan. That is a spot, I guess, either left field or right field, corner outfield, however you want to look at Teoscar Hernandez next year. The Dodgers need a corner outfielder. And Edman being able to play center field on a regular basis frees up Andy Pott, changes a lot of things for the Dodgers.
Well, and that was going to be my follow-up is I was skeptical prior to reading these quotes of if center field Tommy Edman was really a thing the Dodgers could count on in 2026 and even into 2027, just simply because of age and injury history. Now he says, hey, I got the ankle surgery. It went well. This is something I've been dealing with for a couple of years. I see people say, hey, he doesn't have the range. He doesn't have the mobility. Well, in theory, this is going to solve those problems. He may not be, we don't know what the timeline is exactly. We know what they've told us. Hey, we think he'll be ready for spring training. Let's be honest. I don't think any of us could be surprised if Edman isn't necessarily fully available on opening day. But my question to you is, if Edman is really available to play center field in 2026, even if it's a month into 2026, he's ready. We think he's fully healthy. We think he can play center field. Does that change the calculus for you at all when it comes to a guy like Kike Hernandez as a free agent, who to me, a lot of the value in Kike is the ability to play infield, but also the outfield where there's a hole. But if Edman can solve that problem, if Edman is part of the solution in the outfield, if they bring in an outfielder and then Tommy Edman is your 4th or 5th outfielder, does that lessen the need for a guy like Kike Hernandez in your estimation?
In theory and on the surface, I think it would, but that's also banking on kind of a, 90 to I'll use some nerd stats here, 90 to 100 percentile outcome, right? Of Edman, A, being able to play the position, and B, staying healthy to basically do it majority of the year. I don't know how likely that is. In a perfect world, that would be, that's certainly my preference. I remember going into 2025 and we were, having this discussion, and my choice was to play Edman in center field. I liked him out there. I thought that, he could handle the position, and it made sense for the Dodgers roster. I think that still applies going into 2026, but how likely is it? I don't think it's very likely, unfortunately.
Yeah. To me, it's the accumulation of things, right? It's the ankle that's been bothering him, but it was a wrist before that. It just feels like, I hate to say certain players, it's just it just stacks up, but with him, it feels like it's been a different body part at all times. Can't think of a time when he's been a Dodger where it's Tommy Edman is fully healthy. He's ready to go. There is nothing wrong with him. He's not battling through anything, and he's a tough guy. Don't get me wrong. He has played through this stuff to his credit, but I think I'm with you. The idea that they would be counting on him as an outfielder. I think you could count on him as an infielder, because if the mobility is limited, he could still play a really good second base. We've seen that with Rojas. Rojas is limited mobility, right? Limited mobility. And yet he's still effective because he's smart, because he knows how to position himself. He takes great routes, and he's quick with his hands. And I think the same can be said about Tommy Edman. We got a super chat here from Cole. He said, realistic number of years Betts stays at shortstop or then second base. We obviously saw him Gold Glove finalist this past year, Matt. How many years starting now? How many years into the future would you say you feel good about Mookie Betts, the defensive shortstop?
2 more seasons. So 2026 and 2027. And I think 2028 is when you would need to start considering and or preparing for a change there.
As a reminder, he's under contract through 2032. To put these numbers in perspective, 26 and 27 would be his age 33 and age 34 seasons. So then 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 5 years remaining after that, Matt. would be spent at second base in your estimation?
Yeah, that works. That works for me.
Do you look, he's going to be 39 at the end of this contract. We all know that when you sign these deals, I would put Freddie Freeman's contract to the side because his contract was great. Loved the length, loved all of it. I think Freddie's going to be an effective baseball player that is worth every dollar, the entirety of his contract. When you sign Mookie Betts through age 39, you knew that the end of that contract was going to be gross. But I actually kind of agree with you that I think if you can get 2 more full seasons of effective shortstop play, which I think you can, and then throw him at second base, like Mookie's not going to be the type of player. He just doesn't have the body type to where he's just going to be a totally worthless, you have to DH this guy type of player. Like, I think he's going to be smart enough, mobile enough, agile enough to be able to play second base, no problem, even through age 39 would be my guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly the bigger concern, and some of it is stemming from what we saw Mookie go through this year, and although some of it can be attributed to his illness and loss of weight and all that stuff, like the offensive profile, I think like that, what that drop off might look like and how like it might come sooner rather than later, going into the original time, like that I think is going to end up being the biggest concern with his contract.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a great point. The offense is going to be the concern for Mookie Betts' contract way more than the defense. And I don't know if a lot of people, nobody was saying that. Let's just say this. Nobody was saying that a year ago. But now he struggled offensively and was fantastic defensively. And so I think it's easy to project out the defense and say he's not built like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Like you're looking at Mookie Betts and you say that guy could probably play second base till he's 42. The question is the OPS going to start with a 7 or an 8 when he's 37, 38, 39, or as some people would say, next year? Let's do a little history lesson here, Matt. On this date, 1 year ago, the Dodgers made a move. We were joking beforehand, man, it's quiet around here in Dodgers land. And then reminding ourselves that a year ago on this date, a gentleman by the name of Blake Snell signed with the Dodgers. Now, I was looking back at numbers over the last year and this first year of Blake Snell's contract. As many people would remember, Snell, Max Fried, and Corbin Burnes were the 3 biggest free agents out there. Corbin Burnes was the durable one until he wasn't. Now he was out all of last season, will be out, I think, most, if not all of this season as well. Max Fried was really good. And then Blake Snell was injured and then turned out to be, I would say, somewhat effective. But here's some interesting numbers. I'll give you the negative and then the positive for Blake Snell. Lowest wins above replacement of his career since 2017. Full season, just 1.9 wins above replacement. His 61 1/3 innings pitched, his lowest ever besides 2020, when he made the same number of starts in 2020 as he did in 2025, 11 in each, 50 innings back in 2020. His strikeout rate was the lowest since 2017 as well. And yet, he had the 6th best ERA in baseball, 2.35, just behind Skubal, 2 spots ahead of Yamamoto. Minimum 60 innings pitched, which he hit. Postseason, 34 innings over 5 starts and 1 relief appearance, 3.18 ERA. His strikeout rate in the postseason was better than the regular season. His walk rate in the postseason was better than the regular season. First 3 rounds, 21 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 hits allowed, 18 strikeouts, struggled in 2 starts against Toronto, but then bounced back to get 4 outs for them in game number 7. All of this is a setup to say, Matt, was the year 1 of the Blake Snell experience for you a success?
I mean, to me, you can't say no. You can't say no when the season ends in a World Series, right? Correct. Short of something like Tanner Scott, where like it was just a complete disaster.
So technically, you could say no because there are gentlemen that we would say no about. But
yes, good catch. For Blake Snell, like I think yes, it was a success. Obviously, the time missed with the injury was unfortunate. I think that also led into the results and the stats that he had this season, obviously with number of starts that he was able to make, and then some of the other statistics as well. He's been open about, once he came back, he needed to, work through some things still and just, try to find a rhythm. If you want to look at it individually, like I know he did struggle a little bit in the World Series in his 2 starts, but to me, what he did before that in the playoffs and what he did in Game 7 when the season is on the line, like it wipes out, or at the very least, it's a break even with his 2 World Series starts. So yeah,
3.18 ERA in the postseason. Like you can look at the World Series starts, and I know they were bad, 5 earned runs in each. However, on the whole, a 3.1 ERA for a guy who threw 34 innings in the postseason is pretty damn good.
Yeah, and like if you dig further into that, like some of the hits that the Blue Jays got, I know the Blue Jays were upset with his comments, but the it end up being a triple instead of probably a single right to right field, like that type of thing. Like there were other factors at play, and look, the results are the results, so fine. But yeah, I mean, I think it was fine to me and this is a personal thing. What I didn't realize with Blake Snell is, I guess, as the kids would say, how much dog he has in him, type thing. Like he wanted the ball, like he wasn't afraid of these big moments, and that's what you need from somebody who's going to be, an ace or a co-ace of the rotation. Obviously, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, what he did was amazing, but you need a frontline starter. You need that from him, and so yes, like, was it a perfect first season with the Dodgers? No, obviously. Was it had a success, I think, right? Is that how you framed it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was a successful, like, good enough first year.
5 years, $182 million was the contract handed out to Snell. To me, this is unequivocally a successful first season because I understand the concerns about innings pitched. I understand all that. Blake Snell was healthy for the postseason. He had a 3.18 ERA in 34 innings. I just said in the first 3 rounds, he had 3 times as many strikeouts as hits allowed across 21 innings. Should have been 22. They took him out, prevented him from going a complete game just to protect him, basically. But he was fantastic when he was on the mound, 2.35. I mentioned it, just behind Tarek Skubal, ahead of Yoshinobu Yamamoto in ERA when he was healthy. And so there is no part of me that regrets this contract in hindsight. We're going to talk about the Dylan Cease deal that he just signed, 7 years, $200 million. Like, when those numbers come out, I look at Blake Snell and I'm like, holy smokes, thank goodness we got this guy. And I look at the Corbin Burns situation. I look at even Max Fried, and I'm like, yep, they picked the right guy. They picked the guy who has the dog, who is ready for the postseason, who wants the ball. And by the way, when he's healthy and when he's on the mound, is in the conversation for best pitchers in Major League Baseball every single time. Now, we could talk about health. We could talk about availability. But as we hinted at, it seems like the Dodgers handled him with kids' gloves. They said, hey, if you're at 98% health, we're going to rest you because we need you at 100%. So to me, I look at this deal and I am thrilled to know that Blake Snell is going to be a Dodger for the next 4 years. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's already worth it no matter what happens from here. But like, I'm kind of going to say that also because he was healthy and they won the World Series. And that's kind of the goal of this whole thing.
I think one more World Series in the lifespan of his remaining years on his contract, it absolutely becomes worth it. Right now, as it is, it's tracking, honestly, for me to be similar to the Freddie Freeman deal, where it's like, this is a great contract, like your depth, your ROI, like it's a successful deal, like no real complaints, even if maybe the last year isn't quite as good as the first 3 or 4, whatever the case may end up being. Obviously, health will play a big factor. So if Snell bounces back and is healthy in 2026 and effective, then yeah, I mean, it'll be difficult to really poke holes in the type of contract. And it had a deferred salary in it too, which is the Dodger special. Which, yeah, by the way, I mean, we'll get into it. The Blue Jays are starting to ruin baseball with some of their contracts as well.
It's crazy. Real quick, odds and ends. We're going to talk Tyler Glasnow in a second and a rumor that popped up. But let's talk Dylan Cease because we're in this conversation. 7 years, $210 million was the contract handed out to him. Cease will turn 30 at the end of December. So he's a little bit younger than Blake Snell. Blake Snell heading into his age 33 season. Snell's contract will end at age 36. Cease's contract will end at age 36. I think Dylan Cease is a very good pitcher. I believe he led Major League Baseball in whiff rate this year, which is a really important statistic as far as I'm concerned. That has a great measure of like how effective you are as a pitcher when they are trying to swing and they can't hit your stuff. That's a good thing. The thing that terrifies me about Dylan Cease, and I think this has changed in my thinking over the last 12 months, what terrifies me about Dylan Cease is how healthy he has been. And most people hear that and they're like, isn't the goal to be healthy? Isn't that a good thing? I said this with Corbin Burns. I think healthy pitchers scare me more than injured pitchers because healthy pitchers, I've been trained to believe, Matt, that he's due. Like his elbow is due to blow out. His shoulder is due to, it's just not built to do what these guys are doing. And what happens, Corbin Burns, year 1 of that deal with the Diamondbacks, blows out. So what did you make of Cease's contract and maybe even in comparison to the Snell deal?
I was shocked by it, honestly. The other side of that is maybe, the Blue Jays needed to potentially overpay a little bit to get somebody, as much as they have built up themselves and, the spring training facility and Rogers Center and obviously a competitive team that just went to the World Series and all that stuff. I I don't know. Like I know that there are stats that paint Dylan Cease out to be a very, very good pitcher. When he was with the Padres specifically, I have seen him falter enough times in big spots to be worried about relying on him to potentially, help anchor your rotation moving forward. I know they have some free agency situations looming after the 2026 season, and so having Cease under contract long term certainly helps, on paper solidify that. Man, I'm just not the biggest Dylan Cease guy, and again, it's you can tell me whiff rate, you can tell me like the durability is great, and I get what you're saying. Like, unfortunately, yes, like pitchers more times than not tend to get injured just because, as you said, the body is not made to withstand what these guys are doing, how hard they're throwing, and all that stuff. But yeah, I've just seen Dylan Cease come up short one too many times in big games. That I don't get it.
Yeah. He has averaged about 4.1 wins above replacement over the last 5 years, a tick more than that. For context, 10 pitchers in Major League Baseball had 4.1 wins above replacement last year. What's interesting to me is as I'm saying this, as I'm looking at these numbers in real time, I'm thinking to myself, he's kind of the Kyle Tucker of pitchers. Like he's good. He's really good, but he's not elite. Nobody's ever going to look at Dylan Cease and be like, ace. Like, give that guy the ball in game 7, you're good. But you kind of just paid him that money. You kind of just paid him Blake Snell money, Yoshinobu Yamamoto money. Again, not quite to that level. Yamamoto much younger, Blake Snell a little bit older. But, like, you're paying him in the tier of guys that I don't think he's quite there. Because what he gives you is quantity over – he's good. But his greatest attribute is quantity. It's not quality. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, the polar opposites. When they are pitching, both of those guys are better than Dylan Cease. I don't know if that's a hot take in some circles. I would take Glasnow healthy over Dylan Cease healthy. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Dodgers homer. The only question with Snell and Glasnow is, are they available? That has never been a question for Dylan Cease. The guy makes 30 starts every single year, and 30 might be selling him short. Over his last 5 years, 32, 32, 33, 33, 32 starts. So 32 plus starts the last 5 years. But the issue to me is, like, when he's out there, it's not elite. And that would scare me giving him 7 for 210.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to this too, and I know this isn't a focal point, like we're covering this because he was just on the Padres and the Dodgers just played the Blue Jays and things of that. Like it's relevant in that sense. So we appreciate everybody not jumping down our throats for discussing this at the end of November. If you're the Blue Jays, they can afford it, but like, let's say you don't sign Bo Bichette now because you signed, like, is that trade-off, like, does that trade-off make sense? I don't know. Like, if I'm following the Blue Jays, I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel if that is the outcome. And I'm not saying it needs to be. Look, the owner of the franchise has the money. A lot of these owners have the money. The majority of them have done a great job of painting themselves as, being in the red and not being able to afford players, but that's not reality. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see for me. Like, that's what I'm intrigued by next is, does Bo Bichette, or do they go and get Kyle Tucker? And then if you lose Bo Bichette at that point, then like, okay, like I can see that kind of trade-off on the surface. But if Dylan Cease becomes kind of your main off-season addition and Bo Bichette goes elsewhere, Kyle Tucker goes elsewhere, it's a tough sell for me.
Yeah. And I see some people saying, hey, you're underrating the quantity piece of this. And I should clarify, if your goal is to win a World Series, then you shouldn't overrate quantity. But if your goal is to, like, win a lot of games and make the playoffs, which, let's be honest, for most teams in the league, that's the goal. Like, Dylan Cease is a very good player if you're trying to accomplish that. I think the issue is if you get to, like, a must-win postseason game, how good do you feel about having Dylan Cease on the mound? I think you feel good, but you don't feel great. You wouldn't have liked Dylan Cease against any of the Dodgers starting pitching. You wouldn't have liked Dylan Cease against any of the Phillies starting pitching. You wouldn't have even liked him against some of the guys the Blue Jays were throwing out. So I think he's good. He's just not elite.
The Padres tried Dylan Cease in, kind of close out elimination type games.
It's true. Didn't go well.
Yeah.
The other piece here, let's talk Tyler Glasnow briefly. I love this part of the year when these stories make the rounds. Like, I saw this headline somewhere and I was like, Tyler Glasnow trade rumor? What? And then I was like, anonymous executive says that a sleeper trade candidate to watch for is Tyler Glasnow. And it's like one sentence. Was it an ESPN story?
Yeah, it was Jesse Rogers from ESPN who polled, I think it's either 12 or 16 different executives for not just the Dodgers and Glasnow specifically, kind of just off-season things in general. And that's one of the executives who they remained anonymous to get this type of quotes and ideas from them throughout a Glasnow trade.
So good. Kudos to ESPN for publishing this. Kudos for the anonymous quote. I love all of it. This is stupidity. The idea that the Dodgers would trade Tyler Glasnow. Tyler Glasnow is the type of player that the Dodgers are actively trying to acquire at all times. And I know that Tyler Glasnow for most of the year, most of the last 2 years, has not been the most popular Dodger. I get it. Tyler Glasnow is the perfect player as far as the Dodgers are concerned from the perspective of high ceiling, variability when it comes to health. But when he is healthy, he's one of the best there is. I used to always use the example of Rich Hill. The Dodgers kept signing Rich Hill. And it was like, this guy's 46 years old and makes 12 starts. And then you would look over to the right on his Fangraphs page and you would see the ERA and you'd be like, his ERA starts with a 2. And it was like, whenever Rich Hill was healthy, nobody could hit the curveball. He just wasn't healthy very often. And the Dodgers kept going back to that well because they said, man, oh man, if we just get Rich Hill to the postseason healthy, we're going to be okay. That's Tyler Glasnow, except way freaking better than Rich Hill. And so the idea that the Dodgers would trade Tyler Glasnow away in this stretch, like barring the Red Sox saying, we'll give you Jarren Duran for Tyler Glasnow straight up, something like that. I don't see any world, Matt, where the Dodgers would have, like, there's plenty of guys the Dodgers would probably be like, we'll listen. Like, you want to call us on, Teoscar Hernandez? We'll listen. You want to call us on Max Muncy? We'll listen. I'm sure there's lots of those guys out there. You want to call us on, I don't know. I'm not going to say any more names. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I just don't think, I think they call about Glasnow and they're like, we're good. We like the position. Tyler Glasnow has 2 years left on his contract with the club option for year 3. He's basically got 2, maybe 3 years left on his contract, according to SpotTrack. $32.5 million each of the next 2 years. He has a 2028 club option that says if it is declined, it becomes a $21.5 million player option. So if the Dodgers pick it up, it's a $30 million deal for year 3. If they decline it, Glasnow can opt in for 21.5. So he's basically guaranteed $85 million over 3 years. Why the hell would the Dodgers trade this guy, Matt? I don't understand at all why they would be motivated.
Yeah, so to give, if people haven't read it, the full context of the quote from the anonymous executive was to trade Glasnow to address other needs of the roster. Now, he didn't specify. My assumption is probably outfield. I think that stands out.
For a relief pitcher. I would be shocked.
Right. So that being said, I still will disagree with you from the standpoint of if the Dodgers get a call on Tyler Glasnow, they're listening just to see, because you never know, right? Like, what if you get some crazy team?
But they're not listening. They're not listening like if somebody called on Max Muncy.
Yeah, like you're saying they'd listen more on Muncy.
I think Muncy, they'd be like, oh, I'm intrigued. Like, a guy with 1 year left. We don't know what the next couple years is. Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, with Glasnow, it's probably Andrew Friedman probably says, okay, like send me an email. I'll look at it over the weekend and get back to you next week type thing. I do think they listen to some degree. That being said, they are in no position to trade a proven major league established starter who, like, yes, his durability is in question. His talent is not.
Yeah.
When the Dodgers have seen what are we at now? 3, 4, 5 years in a row where they have not run out of starting pitchers, but have needed to use every single starting pitcher in the organization. It just felt like, and then you also layer in that they're looking to, as much as Brandon Gomes didn't fully commit to it, like just schedule wise, if Yamamoto and Ohtani are going to be in your starting rotation on a regular basis, and Roki Sasaki is going back to the starting rotation, you need a 6-man rotation just with the rest days these guys are used to.
Yeah.
So you're going to trade Glasnow to maybe get an outfield. Like, what kind of outfielder are you getting? And no disrespect to Tyler Glasnow, but like, he's not, because of the durability issue, he's not bringing you a perennial MVP type outfielder, right? That's going to significantly move the needle for your roster in that sense and help offset. Well, now you're going to be relying on, as much as we believe in Emmett Sheehan certainly being a valuable contributor and capable, like, he is still young and he hasn't necessarily proven it over a full season, over 2 seasons type thing.
Yeah.
And that applies to all these other prospects that the Dodgers, that's the other thing too. The Dodgers have quote unquote pitching depth in the organization, but how many of those guys are coming back from surgery?
Yeah. River Ryan, Gavin Stone, Kyle Hurt.
Right. And Sheehan ended this last season in the bullpen. So if he is going back to a rotation, like, he does need to sort of adjust and get back into that swing of thing. Justin Robleski, there's no, like, I'm not convinced that they're moving Robleski back into the rotation.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, like, all of a sudden your rotation, your pitching depth, starting pitching depth is looking really shaky. And what happens then if you trade Tyler Glasnow? So for me, the only way I personally would entertain a Tyler Glasnow trade is if you're the Dodgers and you're getting back another established starting pitcher who's going to slot right into the rotation, and then some. Like, it's so then it's probably not a 1-for-1, because why are you making that trade?
Tyler Glasnow threw 21 1/3 innings in the postseason this year. He appeared 3 times in the World Series: October 27th, October 31st, and then again on November 1st. Pitched back-to-back days on Halloween and November 1st, game 6 and 7, right? He had a 1.69 ERA.
Yeah.
Like, 1.69 ERA. He was fantastic. So, to your point, the Dodgers aren't going to get anybody in return for Tyler Glasnow, in my opinion, that is more valuable to them than Glasnow himself, is all I would say. So, we got a couple super chats here from Carlos Garcia. Glass not worth $27 million a year, not stupidity. He might be worth more. I mean, Dylan Cease just got $30 million a year for 7 years. If Tyler Glasnow were a free agent on this market right now, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to sign a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year team option," I promise you, that's a $100 million contract minimum.
Yeah.
Just a deal. Carlos says, "Jeff, would you trade Glasnow and your dog for Tarek Skubal?" It's a hot take. People aren't going to like me for it. Hell no.
Oh, Jeff. Okay.
My dog's the goat.
Okay. I thought you were going to sell out your dog.
No.
Okay.
I did say that I hope if my daughter losing for mayor, were you on this show?
Yeah.
She ran for mayor, and I said, if she would lose and the Dodgers would win, would I take it? I said, absolutely yes. She did lose. The Dodgers did win. But my dog's the best. His name is Bear, and he's literally the best. So there you go. I love this from Jonathan. He says, we should trade Glasnow for Ryan Pepio. Pepio is going to be a top 5 Cy Young in 2026. Look, I was on the wrong side of this just this past year when Glasnow was hurt, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, Pepio's really good. Are we sure the Dodgers definitely won this trade? And
that was a spirited show with you and Anthony. And
I know
it was
Anthony didn't like that. And I was like, Pepio's really good. Are we sure? And again, Tyler Glasnow answered every single question I have about him in the postseason.
That being said, I do think that type of trade is something that the Dodgers would entertain from the standpoint of, one, Pepio has been here, so they know the person, they know all the under the hood stuff. 2, you are gaining team control at that point.
Yep.
3, like the talent, and this is going to tie
and remember
back to
that Glasnow had not signed a contract extension, so he was a looming free agent that was not going to re-sign with Tampa. So worth pointing out.
But I think like Pepio is talented enough. He has enough experience, all that. Like, that is the type of trade that I do think the Dodgers would at least maybe consider and then see, okay, like, what can this possibly expand to type thing? Because a 1-for-1, like, does it really make sense for either team? Not necessarily. Like, that would be like, I don't think they necessarily jump at that, but I do think that would maybe, that type of trade would give them some pause to think about it.
Carlos saying Glasnow's a choke artist. Look, Carlos, we love you. We appreciate the super chats. 1.69 ERA. Sorry. 1.69 ERA. The guy appeared back-to-back nights in the World Series in intense moments and got the job done. Like, I understand. I think sometimes we hold on to, like, I know the perspective people had going into the postseason about Tyler Glasnow. I just think we have to be willing to, like, hold these things with open hands and say, hey, if this guy goes on a run with a 1.69 ERA in the postseason and we win a World Series, then maybe, just maybe, I'm willing to reevaluate my Tyler Glasnow position. Because, again, what he did in the postseason was worth the $150 million they're paying him over 5 years. Like, in a month, he earned $150 million, as far as I'm concerned. And they still got him for 2+ years remaining. So, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. All right. We're going to get to some questions, all caps questions. Throw those in the chat. We do have a super chat we'll get to. 300 says, bottom line, we need starters to pitch innings. There was a reason our bullpen was crap at season's end. They were spent. I agree with you. I just don't need those starters to be Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell and Shohei Ohtani and even Yamamoto. Emmett Sheehan, eat your heart out, buddy. Like Justin Robleski, Ben Kasparius, Gavin Stone, River Ryan, Jackson Ferris. Soak them up, boys. These innings are all yours. That would be my opinion. So I agree they need starters to pitch innings. Just, I don't need it to be my frontline guys making 35 starts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the other sort of aspect, like I do, yes, the usage did certainly impact the bullpen. That wasn't Tanner Scott's issue. That wasn't Kirby Yates' issue. Like, there just also was underperformance there. Brusdar Graterol, they were counting on him to come back and he didn't make it back. Like, Evan Phillips got hurt. If he's around, the bullpen is probably a little bit more stable. Blake Trinan, I don't think that usage was an issue for him. Like, if you think it's more age and he's only getting older, then sure, like I'll entertain that. But I don't think it was just usage. 300 as much. At points during the regular season, yes, that was the case. But I think that they're like I said, those other list of reasons I mentioned were factors as well.
All right, let's get to some questions. Back to back says, would you rather Yoshi or Shohei win the Cy Young next year?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, do I have to pick? You pick.
That man right there. That's Yoshinobu Yamamoto, LA Times. Of course, it's Ohtani can win MVPs for the rest of his life. Give me my guy Yamamoto. Let's see. Vivian asks, did you see a post about Haesung Kim pitching 3 scoreless innings in a game in Korea? I have not seen this, Matt. Did you see this?
No, I have not seen that either. Maybe Haesung is looking to be a two-way player to get in the lineup a little bit more like Ohtani. I imagine it was probably some sort of exhibition, maybe charity type thing, and he was sort of lobbing it and hopefully not trying to actually pitch, because that could be dangerous for a position player doing something like that. I know it seems like you're looking it up, so maybe you can fill us in. If not, I'll hop off and check it out at some point after the fact.
Yeah. I can't tell for the life of me what's going on. Yeah. I don't know how old this video is. I suppose from last year. Some Reddit stuff popping up. Oh, KBO exhibition game, as you said. Yeah, he's chucking like 75-mile-an-hour changeups up there. So I think we're good. I think we're good on that one. JF24967 asks, any take on Ryan Helsley to Baltimore? 2 years, 26 million? Was that the number? 24 million? Mid-20.
Whatever you say would sound. I honestly didn't. I don't remember what it was.
2 years, $28 million was the contract he signed with the Orioles. This is a guy that some people liked as a fit for the Dodgers. 2 for 28 sounds about right. Devin Williams at top of my list. He's still out there. But I will say some of the other names, the Edwin Diaz in a class of his own. But if it's not Devin Williams, I guess I would say that the next tier of relief pitcher, whether it's Helsley, whether it's Raisel Iglesias, is starting to dry up a little bit, would be my concern. So we'll see. Nick asks, should the Dodgers be interested in Bo Bichette as a third baseman? What is a possible plan to address third base after Muncy? Muncy's just going to play for 6 more years and hit 32 home runs every single year. Are you a Bichette guy, Matt? That was a joke, by the way. But are you a Bichette guy?
After seeing him in the World Series, I've come around to it. I remember on one of our live shows, I did say, we weren't discussing it at all, and I just said, hey, why don't the Dodgers just sign Bo Bichette and have him play second base for now? To our point about Mookie earlier, then once Mookie's ready to switch over to the other side of the middle infield, then you could put Bichette at shortstop or have him play third base, and he is the succession plan to Muncy the way Nick is sort of asking here.
Yeah. Bichette.
I don't break the bank for him type thing.
I've advocated for trading for Bichette in the past. I don't know. Some of the injury stuff worries me, and so yeah, he wouldn't be my top choice. We'll put it that way. Okay. Jonathan asked, should the Dodgers avoid signing relievers like Edwin Diaz in the offseason? Relievers are so hot and cold, it might be better to wait until the trade deadline to see who's hot. Right. My one pushback to this would be Ryan Helsley, who we just talked about, was very hot and then got traded and was atrocious afterwards. So I just think it's the nature of relievers. I don't think free agency or trades matter. The question is, do you invest resources in relief pitching? Yes or no, Matt? For you, knowing the risk, would you ever invest resources, whether via trade or via money, in relief pitching?
Trade, yes. Money, no. At least not long-term money.
Now, why and the difference being that when you trade for a guy, you're kind of signing up for like a 1 or 2 year deal typically?
That, and look, like these prospects are, I get it. Like prospect like Corey Seager, Cody Blount, like Clayton Kershaw, like these prospects, there are prospects that certainly develop and make a significant impact. I'm not the biggest prospect guy. I think the Dodgers also sort of get themselves into a situation where they have more prospects than spots available, and then some guys end up playing themselves out of prospect status. Diego Cartaya, then the Michael Busch trade, like that is potentially panning out for the Dodgers, but then you find yourself in that type of situation. So
yeah,
you have a lot of depth. I think at some point, use it to kind of trade and fill other needs.
Smile says, have you seen the Dodgers Road to the World Series video? If Game 7 wasn't the best baseball game we've ever seen so far, we'd talk about so much more. Rewatching Kershaw come in Game 3, goosebumps. I literally get emotional every single time they show the clip of Ellen in the stands. Like I literally am on the verge of tears every single time. I have consumed everything. Road to the World Series came out on Thanksgiving, I believe, on the Dodgers YouTube page. Watched that. Backstage Dodgers, I believe, is now out on YouTube. I found a way to watch that prior to it being available on YouTube. Fantastic. So I will consume anything. I've seen the Fox mini movie. I will consume anything and everything related to the Dodgers World Series. But I do think the point here of like Game 7 being insane kind of overshadows the fact that there were like 18 insane things that happened prior to Game 7 as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why, you're seeing the World Series as a whole being discussed or was discussed the way that it was in the shortly after that. Pete Crow Armstrong said it was really good. When we talked to Justin Turner at his golf tournament, he said, it was good for baseball as a sport and obviously entertaining. Ryan Pepio had positive things to say about it. He was impressed by Yamamoto and Dodgers starting pitchers, things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, it is going to go down as one of the best World Series I think ever played. Yeah,
absolutely. Don't Care says more likely to have a bounce back year, Tanner Scott, Teoscar Hernandez.
I'll go Tanner Scott.
I think it's Tanner Scott. I think Teoscar's like, it's hard because Tanner Scott was atrocious. Teoscar wasn't atrocious. He was worse than, defensively, he was atrocious, depending on who you ask. TQT, any worries about Gavin Stone returning to form, knowing that Nick Frasso just got released after the same shoulder surgery Stone got? Absolutely worried about this. Yes. I think there's a chance. I don't know how much detail we got on Frasso. Like Gavin Stone had all of it, like every shoulder problem that could possibly require surgery. He had all of those things. So absolutely very concerned about those types of things. C Carrera 951. Will we play Toronto in next year's World Series? That's a no for me, Matt. You going yes to Toronto Dodgers repeat?
The 2026 World Series will not feature the Dodgers and Blue Jays.
Okay, there you go. Film Church asks, does the game honor you if LA load manages? I get this philosophy only works with deep enough farm to get the team in the playoffs. If you believe in Dave Roberts' whole the game honors you stuff, then take your chances here. I do not tend to believe in the game honoring Miguel Rojas with inning number 9 home run. Just my take. I don't think Jazz Chisholm agrees with the game honoring Miguel Rojas either necessarily, but even if you believe in the game honoring people, that's my take.
I mean, again, look, the Dodgers, they didn't take the approach to deliberately load manage, and I don't think they will necessarily take it next year. They will look to give guys breaks, which is what they have done for pretty much under Andrew Friedman's tenure as president of baseball operations. And so it's not like NBA load management type thing.
Yeah. All right, let's get off the beaten path here a little bit. Smile says, which hat is better, the hat they wore after Game 7 or the parade hat? Here's my answer. The one that I purchased, which is the one they wore after winning in Game 7. Do you have a preference, Matt, between this hat and the parade hat?
Was that not? I thought they were wearing that hat for the parade as well.
The parade, I believe, was the one that had like the World Series trophy on the front of it.
Let me see. Let me try looking it up really quick.
So I really liked the immediate post-game hat. I have that one.
Oh, is the parade one's like a dark gray or like a charcoal color?
I have the playoff one as well, which turned out that was a risky move because if they had lost, I would have never worn this hat again, but they won, so we're in good shape.
I do like the one after they wore after Game 7 better than the parade one, I think.
There you go. Cole, going off the beaten path. We're going to get to food here in a second. Top 3 sports movies.
Geez.
Mine is The Natural, Secretariat, and Miracle. I think we need to start by clarifying, do comedies count? Like, does Happy Gilmore qualify as a sports movie? Does Talladega Nights qualify as a sports movie? Does Dodgeball qualify as a sports movie?
That's where I was going.
If those 3 qualify, those might be my top 3 right there. I'm going to be honest. I went into my friend ChatGPT and I said, what are the top 50 sports movies? Just to get a sampling of titles for myself. Obviously, the baseball ones, Field of Dreams, Moneyball, League of Their Own, Sandlot, Bull Durham, 42, The Natural. How about this? I'll just read you categories, Matt, and you tell me your favorite in each of these categories. So we'll start with baseball. Field of Dreams, Moneyball, League of Their Own, Sandlot, Bull Durham, 42, and The Natural. What's your favorite movie on that list?
Sandlot.
Yeah, easy for me. I think that's in my top 3. The Sandlot's a classic. It's probably an age thing. Matt and I are like prime age of people that watched Sandlot as kids, would be my guess. And so that's a classic. Then we've got the boxing category here. Rocky, Raging Bull, Creed, $1 Million Baby, Cinderella Man, The Fighter, and Warrior. You got a preference there?
So not on the list. Ali, I thought was very good.
There you go. Will Smith.
Not on that list. From that list, I'll go the Rocky franchise. My uncles watched it, and so as a kid, I kind of got exposed, like nostalgic to it. Like it's and the Sylvester Stallone Rocky, not the was it Michael B. Jordan, whoever?
Well, he did Creed.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so like Rocky, like the Rocky franchise from your list, but that or Ali, I think are
I like it.
Good.
I liked Creed and I liked Rocky. Most of these other ones I haven't seen. I'm going to be honest. Football. Remember the Titans, Friday Night Lights, Rudy, The Blind Side, Any Given Sunday, and Jerry Maguire, parentheses, sports business adjacent was the question here. I'm going to be Friday Night Lights, the TV show, one of my all-time favorite TV shows. Don't enjoy the movie. I don't dislike it. I just don't think it's that great. I think the TV show's 100x better. So for me, Remember the Titans, probably a top 3 sports movie. I think Sandlot and Remember the Titans are in my top 3.
Yeah, I'm going Remember the Titans there.
Basketball, Hoosiers, He Got Game, Space Jam, White Men Can't Jump, Coach Carter, and Hustle. By the way, I just realized baseball category left out Hardball with Keanu Reeves. That's a tragedy of its own kind there, but we're moving on here. Hoosiers, He Got Game, Space Jam, White Men Can't Jump, Coach Carter, and Hustle.
Space Jam.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. This might be just age dependent on all of these.
Yeah, I think so.
Hockey, Miracle, Mighty Ducks, Goon, and Slapshot.
I mean, I don't think I've seen any of those like all the way through.
Hold on. You haven't seen the Mighty Ducks?
Not start to finish. I can't tell you how much I've seen of it. I know that I have not seen all of it.
Slapshot's an old movie. It's great. Worth watching. Goon with Sean William Scott, something like that. Whatever. Miracle, great movie. The Mighty Ducks is a classic. All of them. Like Knuckle Puck, none of this. You got to watch The Mighty Ducks. You got to watch it. It's in my top 3 for sure. So far we got Remember the Titans, Sandlot, and Mighty Ducks. I won't do all these. Soccer, like Beckham's funny to me. Racing, Ford versus Ferrari, fantastic movie. Seabiscuit, Chariots of Fire. You've got Prefontaine, 2 different Prefontaine movies, Prefontaine and Without Limits, University of Oregon guys. So those are both great, worth watching. Karate Kid, I suppose, qualifies here. If that qualifies, does that mean 3 Ninjas qualifies? Because if 3 Ninjas qualifies, it might be the greatest sports movie of all time. Then you've got sports, Happy Gilmore, Dodgeball, Talladega Nights, etc. So there you go. Senna, the documentary, fantastic. Another racing one. I still can't believe. Is the chat killing you for not having seen Mighty Ducks? Please.
No, it's not that big of a deal.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle qualifies.
I agree with that.
Qualifies. That's fantastic. Matt hasn't seen the Mighty Ducks. That's insane. Oh man, BC. Even everyone in this chat has won as many NCAA championships as Oregon. I'm sorry. We win a lot of track and field championships over here in Eugene. So, yeah, take that. Oh, I haven't seen the F1 movie. I've heard it's fantastic. I think it's coming out on streaming in the next couple weeks. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Man, Mighty Ducks is so good. That's disappointing. Okay. Jonathan Super Chat. The Big Lebowski is the best sports movie out there. Can't overlook it. Set in all in LA's finest bowling alleys. There you go. Big Lebowski bowling movie. Love that. All right, David asking the important questions here. I've seen Jeff's Thanksgiving dinner, which, to recap, we did prime rib at my house. There was also turkey. I would say mostly normal sides. Not all of the normal sides made their way onto my plate, but my plate featured mashed potatoes next to smashed potatoes, which my sister-in-law made. Fantastic. Mac and cheese. And then I did have some turkey as well. Matt, your Thanksgiving dinner, which traditionally, as you've said, is fettuccine Alfredo, a wedge salad, and some Snickers cheesecake, I believe. So what did we do this year?
I went traditional this year. My Thanksgiving plate had some turkey, had some mashed potatoes, and it had a like a corn casserole that my wife makes. It's sort of like a blended, like it's sort of cornbread, sort of souffle.
Love
has
that.
some cheese, has some corn, so a lot of things that I enjoy. And then Saturday had some turkey sliders, had some more mashed potatoes, had some more corn casserole. So went traditional this year.
Okay. How did we feel about that?
The sliders were good with some gravy, cheddar cheese, turkey on them. That was better than like the tradition, like the regular just turkey on a plate type thing. That being said, I might go back to fettuccine next year just because I enjoy it. Like I still don't like it more than I like fettuccine. So we'll have to see. But I wasn't.
Devin, he said turkey sliders was Friday. This was not his. Turkey
Saturday.
sliders was Saturday. It was the leftovers from the traditional Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if I don't do fettuccine next year, I probably would just do turkey sliders on Thanksgiving. But yeah, I mean, look, I've been open with like turkey's fine. Like I'll eat like turkey sandwiches during the year. Like it's just, I don't think it's that great.
This is why I laugh. Anthony came at me because somebody said, "Have you tried smoked turkey?" And I'm like, everybody always tells me I don't like turkey because I haven't had it prepared in the right way. For the longest time, it was like, "Oh, you haven't had fried turkey." Like, I'm like, okay. And then I tried fried turkey. You know what it tasted like? Every other kind of turkey I've ever had. So then Anthony's coming at me like smoked turkey is this amazing thing. And I'm like, I'm open to the possibility. I respect Anthony's food opinion. I believe our guy David is a smoked turkey guy as well. My response is like, if smoked turkey is as good as you claim it is, you must have it 8 to 10 times a year, right? Like this must be a thing that you work into the rotation once a month because it is as good as you claim. And the answer is always no, it's not. It's like we do it on Thanksgiving, but never else. I'm like, well, then it probably isn't that good.
I think that's fair. I think the other side of it is it's probably a lot of prep. And so is it worth it to do it multiple times during the year? I will say, like, I have had fried turkey that I thought, oh, like this is like markedly better than like normal turkey. But again, like it's not like I still don't love it. Like
prime rib was so much better than turkey.
Well, so prime rib to me is interesting, right? Like, and not necessarily to you guys specifically, what you like, but sometimes like if we've gone to a restaurant like for work type thing, to me, like I'd rather have steak than a prime rib. Like if you're doing prime rib, like steaks, I would rather at that point just go to a steak.
Prime rib you can cook for multiple people at one
Right.
time.
It is right. Yeah. Logistically for Thanksgiving, it definitely makes.
My mom threw it on like a rotisserie or something that they got on their barbecue, and then it was enough. And here's the advantage to prime rib. You had turkey sliders on Saturday after Thanksgiving. I was having French dip sandwiches on Friday after Thanksgiving.
That is a benefit. That is
so. And
that works.
for the record, threw some pepper jack cheese on that bad boy. So I want everybody to know got some melted cheese on there. French dip sandwich, Matt, maybe the most underrated sandwich. Unbelievable sandwich. Dipping that in the au jus, unbelievable. 10 out of 10. That's my thoughts.
But were you on when we got asked French dip or cheesesteaks? I forget if I was on with you.
It was like, yes, I was. I think both of those are fantastic. I probably said cheesesteaks. Those are both like top tier sandwiches for me.
Yeah.
So
David wants us to tell. Anthony's busy doing Lakers Nation stuff for us tonight. So David,
David, how often do you eat smoked turkey? As good as it is. And Matt gave you an out because he said, it takes a long time. It's hard. But people smoke meat all the time. They got Traegers. You just freaking do it on your phone.
That's true.
And turkey's cheap. That's the other thing. Because some people would say, well, how often do you do prime rib? It's like, I can't afford to cook prime rib for myself all that often. My parents cooked prime rib and they were doing it for, the 5 or 6 of us that were going to eat it. So there we go. Yeah. Someone asked about the Monte Cristo. Do you like these sandwiches where it's like the cranberry turkey all together on a sandwich? Me neither.
No. So before we end this, I do have 2 questions for you.
Great.
One, we need to go back a little bit. I need to hear about the onion rings. I know you shared a little bit on your steakhouse dinner.
Yeah.
What about those onion rings were supposed to be? I know you said that they were very good, but what made them kind of different, or I think world famous, whatever their claim
James
was?
Beard said they were the best onion rings in the world that he had ever eaten at this steakhouse in Portland. It was just like, if you imagine, and I'm not saying that it was just a very, very good onion ring. Like, I don't think I would eat this onion ring and say it's the greatest onion ring I've ever had. Nothing comes close. Because I think there's a lot of these types of foods where it's like, it's not that complicated, right? I don't know. They picked the right onion. They cooked the right onion. They fried it right. One thing they did that was cool was they had this dressing that was almost like similar to a like bloomin' onion type dressing. It was like a French dressing, but then it had blue cheese crumbles in it. So that was really good.
That's up my alley.
I would just say it was an elite onion ring, not like way better than anything you've ever had, but just like the best onion ring you've ever had with a really good dip. And you've been told that it's the best onion ring you've ever had, so it probably helps.
Was it like crazy price? Like, oh man, like
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was. I mean, it's at a steakhouse. I would guess it was $16 to $20 or something like that.
Just what I mean, it's what when you're at a restaurant like that, you're expecting.
Well, and what was funny was like I'm trying to pull up the menu right now because the one thing I remember is there was a here we go, food and beverage menu. There was a small and a large. Yeah, small is $13, large $15.
Oh,
and there were 2 of us. And we were like, what do you think? And he's like, the small will be more onion rings than you need. Like he was like, you don't need the large. I promise you, do not order the large. So it's $13. So there you go.
That's good. The other question, and we can ask the chat too. When it comes to stuffing, back to Thanksgiving.
Hate it.
Fine. Me too. But I am bothered by the interchanging of stuffing and dressing.
Yeah.
Is it a me thing, or does that land with you at all?
As far as being bothered by it?
Yeah, like it's dressing. I mean, it's not it's stuffing. It's not dressing.
It's regional. This is what I've been told. The South calls it dressing everywhere, and the North calls it stuffing. And apparently, we follow the North. Yes. I just don't think it's not good. Like,
I don't need it. You can call it whatever you want.
It's the classic. It's the classic thing. Like, if it was good, we would eat it more. So, David from the North, as we know. So, yeah, I don't really fully understand. There you go. Because this is the thing, right? It's like chopped up bread that's then supposed to be cooked in the turkey or like cooked in the juices or something like that. There you go. He says if it's made on the side, it's called dressing. If it's baked in the turkey, it's called stuffing. It was prepared at my house. It was not eaten by me. There was, I will say, a vegetarian in my house. There was tofurkey that was cooked. I know this question, Cole is asking, have we had turducken? Tofurkey was offered at my Thanksgiving. You will note, did not make its way onto my plate. So I have not had turducken. Would happily eat that sounds really expensive and complicated to make, but if someone was going to make it for me, I would happily eat turducken, which famously John Madden is a duck cooked inside of a turkey. So there you go. Have you eaten it, Matt?
No, and I'm not going anywhere near that.
You wouldn't eat it if presented to you.
No, I'm good.
What? Would you not eat duck?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
It just sounds weird. I don't. It's too much of that's.
See, I've done this with food. I went to a place, and the food on the menu was pig's cheek, was what was being cooked. Yeah, Oregon guy eating a duck. I have not, for the record, but no problem. But pig's cheek was the thing, and I was just like, oh yeah, and chicken. Sorry, there's chicken in there too. Thank you, Cole. But like, I was like, that's gross, pig cheek. And then I logically worked my way to the point of like, I'm willing to eat this animal's butt. I'm willing to eat its ribs, but the cheek, that's like where I draw the line. So, it's the same thing with like, what is it? Lengua? That's the cow tongue.
I mean, I'm not eating that either.
Okay. But in my mind, it's like, I'm willing to eat every other part of this animal, but this is where I draw the line. Like, again, tongue, I haven't fully gotten over. I ate pig cheek, tasted the same as every other part of the pig. It was good. So there you go. But you're out on duck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You'll eat all turkey, no problem. Chicken,
Yes.
No problem. Other birds, no problem.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I see some people offering some other body parts. And look, Rocky Mountain oysters, that's a count me out. I think that's a fair line to draw. If you don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, I'll just say I think it's a fair line to draw. So there you go. I think, would you eat frog?
No. I mean, I'm not real like I've had like leg.
Like,
I've had leg of lamb before. Like,
lamb's on that list. Would you do veal, baby cow?
I have done it with Ian. I've been at a dinner with Ian where he orders it and I eat it. It's not like my choice, but I can get through that.
Yeah, like I talked about at the steakhouse, I did marrow. That was like a new experience to me, which on paper is kind of a weird thing, like you're sucking the stuff out of the bones, but.
Yeah, I just need what came with it, the like garlic bread and what was on the side for it. Like that's all. That's
chutney.
all. And arugula, I think also
chutney
was,
and arugula. Yeah.
I would have left the bone marrow alone.
You would have just eaten the garlic bread with the chutney and the arugula. I love that. I love that. On that note, that'll do it for us, folks. We appreciate everybody hopping in and joining us 90 minutes on a Sunday night. For those on the podcast who stuck around to the end, kudos to you. We appreciate you. Thanks for letting us have a little bit of fun here at the end of this one. That is Matthew Moreno filling in for Anthony Witrato, who is filling in over on Lakers Nation with Trevor Lane. Lots going on for us. We will be back. I will be back on Tuesday with Bruce, I believe, this Tuesday. So make sure you plan to join us for that one. Normal schedule from here on out. I have no plans to travel at any point, so you're stuck with me for at least the month of December. So enjoy. Check out DodgerBlue.com. As always, the latest news, notes. We mentioned that on this date, they do a bunch of cool articles. We do a bunch of cool articles over on the site. There was one about the Juan Uribe as well on there. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Dodger Blue app. You can find all the articles, all the video, all that in one place. So go ahead and check those things out as well. That is Matthew Moreno, folks. I am Jeff Spiegel. Enjoy the rest of your night. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.